Hi, I'm Courtney and I'll be presenting on the methods of monitoring snow leopards. Snow leopards are an endangered species, so it's important to monitor their population fluctuations so we can assess the efficiency of conservation efforts. However, snow leopards are a cryptic species and they live in remote areas, so it can be difficult to adequately monitor those populations. We will look at three methods that are used to monitor various leopard species and assess which method will be the most efficient for snow leopards. To start, we'll look at camera traps. Some pros are that we can identify individuals based on their markings from the footage. These can be used in remote locations and withstand severe weather. And this is a passive technique, so it won't stress or harm the animal. Some cons to this method are that there can be technical malfunctions such as SD card fails. There's a limited field of view, so you need to make sure you have your camera angled correctly and in the right location, so nothing is obstructing the view before you set it out and leave it. There's a long processing time for the footage that you'll be going through, and trap shyness may cause avoidance of the area. The next method we'll be looking at is scat sampling. There's a diagram to the right that shows how scat is analyzed to extract DNA and then what that DNA can tell you. Some pros of scat sampling are that you can extract DNA and it can tell you the individual, the sex, and the species. And it can also tell you about the sex ratio, abundance, and the genetic structure of the population. It will also reveal the diet and health of the animal. And this is also a passive technique, so it will not stress or harm the animal. Some cons to this method are that there can be errors in DNA analysis, so there may not be enough DNA to confidently come to a conclusion. There can be misidentification of species in the field, so you may be collecting fox scat instead of snow leopard scat, and you may be skipping over snow leopard scat if you don't know how to properly identify it, and you won't know until you get in the field and analyze it for the species. There's also difficulty traversing the terrain and finding scat, as these snow leopards live in remote locations, and it can be very hot or it can be snowy depending on where they are and the time of year. The last method we'll look at is collaring. Some pros to this method are that you can have a vet examine the animal once it's tranquilized. If there are any health problems with the animal, it can be taken care of. Blood samples can be taken that will provide better DNA than from scat. And from this blood and having hands on the actual animal, you can properly ID the individual, sex, the species, and the age. The collar provides remote tracking, so you can check their location and movement patterns at all times. And there are many types of collars and features of these collars. So any type of data or area that you're in, there's a collar and feature that can accommodate that. Some cons to collaring are that it is an active technique that will cause stress and potential harm to the animal, which could happen when it's trying to get out of the cage or when you tranquilize it, and you can't have it tranquilized for too long or that will also harm the animal. The collar may negatively impact the animal's survival, such as affecting its movement, irritating its skin, not being able to camouflage as well. Also, trap shyness may not allow enough animals to be monitored. Snow leopards may avoid the area once you set a trap up, or they may not just go in the trap at all. And lastly, you may capture the wrong species. This will cause unneeded stress to that species, and you'll have to keep resetting your trap until you get your snow leopards. After analyzing these three methods, I would recommend using camera traps. This is a passive technique, so it won't harm the animal or stress it, and health should be the #1 concern when you are deciding which method to use. Also, snow leopards live in locations with severe weather, and camera traps can withstand that, so it will not disrupt their performance. They also live in remote areas, and camera traps require the least amount of travel compared to the other two methods. And traps can be left in the field for as long as you need to ensure you get the footage for your data. From that footage, you can identify the individuals, behavior, movement patterns, and you can estimate population size and changes. Thank you.